Rap music mogul Jay-Z revealed as an accused rapist in a civil lawsuit initially filed against Sean Diddy Combs. The two stars, now accused of raping a 13-year-old girl at an after party decades ago. I have 7 shocking details from the suit and what Jay-Z, Combs, and the accuser's lawyer are all saying about it.
For decades we were told a tale of two kings, two self-made monarchs who ruled the rap industry from their separate thrones. Sean Diddy Combs, the flamboyant ringmaster of Bad Boy Records, the architect of the glossy East Coast party scene, and Sean Jay-Z Carter, the cool, calculating mogul, the intellectual.
Jay-Z, of course, is one of the biggest names in rap music, and he has been a longtime friend and associate of Sean Diddy Combs. Now he's being revealed as the name behind Celebrity A in a lawsuit filed by a Jane Doe from Alabama, who claims that Combs and now Jay-Z raped her in the year 2000. And in a bit, I'm going to tell you what both Jay-Z and Sean Combs are saying about this lawsuit, so stay tuned for that. Combs is currently in federal custody, accused of racketeering and sex trafficking, and he's pleaded not guilty to those charges. The sex trafficking charge filed against Combs relates to allegations made by his ex, Cassie Ventura, that he forced her to take part in freak-offs, days-long sex acts with male sex workers. Cassie had originally filed a civil lawsuit against Combs in November of 2023. That suit, of course, was settled in record time within a day. Before that, Combs's lawyers say that Cassie's lawyers had made an offer to them that they could buy the rights to a book she was writing for $30 million in exchange for it never seeing the light of day. Cassie's lawsuit and the subsequent settlement seemed to open the floodgates for other women to file civil lawsuits against Combs. More than a dozen have been filed, including one by a Jane Doe in October. At the time the suit was filed, Combs was the main defendant, and 2 other celebrities were listed as Celebrity A and Celebrity B. Celebrity A was listed as a man and Celebrity B a woman. Now attorney Tony Busby, after some legal back and forth with a demand letter and dueling lawsuits, says Celebrity A is Jay-Z, whose legal name is Sean Carter. The suit begins. Defendant Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, aka Puff Daddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, along with his longtime friend and collaborator Sean Carter, aka Jay-Z, drugged and raped a 13-year-old girl at an after-party following the 2000 Video Music Awards. Another celebrity stood by and watched as Combs and Carter took turns assaulting the minor. Many others were present at the after-party, but did nothing to stop the assault. Combs has been allowed for years to conduct himself in this manner without any consequences. The plaintiff says she was 13 at the time in January of 2000, when she said she went to the MTV Video Music Awards at Radio City Music Hall. She didn't have a ticket, so she approached limo drivers who were parked outside hoping to get in. The lawsuit says one of the limousine drivers she spoke to claimed to work for defendant Combs. The driver told her that Combs liked younger girls and said that she fit what Diddy was looking for. And while not allowing her into the awards, the driver invited her to an after-party. The driver stated that he had to drive Combs and others to the after-party first, but instructed plaintiff to return to his location after the event and that he pick her up after and take her to the after-party. While the woman says she was outside the VMAs talking to the limo drivers, inside it was a big night, particularly for Jennifer Lopez, who was at the awards show with her then boyfriend, Sean Combs. They were a hot couple back then, and Lopez won the VMA for Best Dance Video. She was on top of the world that night. The woman claims that night, outside of Radio City Music Hall, she got into a limo with someone affiliated with Sean Combs. That suit says, after approximately 20 minutes, plaintiff arrived at a large white house with a gate U-shaped driveway. Once inside, 2 men asked plaintiff to sign a non-disclosure agreement, informing her that she could not discuss what happened at the after-party. She gave them her name and signed the form, but did not receive a copy. The Jane Doe described seeing celebrities, but those people are not named. Inside the building, plaintiff recognized many celebrities as she entered what appeared to be a large living room or foyer containing a large crowd. Plaintiff attempted to mingle in the crowd and
Force behind Rockefeller Records, the silent shark of the boardroom. They were rivals, we believed they were competitors, they were respectful peers, each charting his own path to a billion-dollar legacy, a perfect American success story told in platinum records and luxury brands. But what if that entire narrative was a deliberate deception, a meticulously crafted facade designed to hide a truth far more dangerous and far more intertwined? The truth is, Diddy and Jay-Z's relationship was never what we thought it was. The 2 men were not just 2 successful moguls. rivals sitting on adjacent mountaintops. They were two critical components of the same machine, the same secret society of power and privilege, and their hidden connection, a dark alliance of mutual self-interest, has now been violently exposed for the world to see. We have to look back to the very foundation of their power, the late 90s and early 2000s, when they defined the global face of hip-hop wealth. Diddy sold the swagger, the champagne dreams, the conspicuous consumption. He built the playbook. Jay-Z came along and digitized it, weaponizing business acumen and turning his empire into a corporate fortress. He looked like the responsible one, the Wall Street version of the rap star, while Diddy maintained the image of the reckless hedonist.
As she grew more and more disoriented, plaintiff was held down by Carter as he vaginally raped her, while Combs and Celebrity B watched. After Carter was finished, he stepped back toward the wall. Combs then stepped forward and vaginally raped plaintiff while Carter and Celebrity B watched. Combs then knocked plaintiff down and attempted to force plaintiff to perform oral sex on him. She fought back, standing up quickly and punching out at the same time, hitting Combs in the neck. Taken aback, Combs stopped his attempt. The allegations in this suit are very disturbing, and Sean Combs is denying the claims being made by the woman, who's now around 37 years old. Combs and his legal team said in a statement, "This amended complaint and the recent extortion lawsuit against Mr. Busby exposes his barrage of lawsuits against Mr. Combs for what they are: shameless publicity stunts designed to extract payments from celebrities who fear having lies spread about them, just as lies have been spread about Mr. Combs. As his legal team has said before, Mr. Combs has full confidence in facts and the integrity of the judicial process. In court, the truth will prevail that Mr. Combs never sexually assaulted or trafficked anyone, man or woman, adult or minor." And Jay-Z posted a lengthy statement on X calling the allegations heinous. "My lawyer received a blackmail attempt, called a demand letter, from a lawyer named Tony Busby. What he had calculated was the nature of these allegations and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. No, sir, it had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So no, I will not give you one red penny," in all caps. "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? These alleged victims would deserve real justice if that were the case." This lawyer, who I have done a bit of research on, seems to have a pattern of these type of theatrics. "I have no idea how you have come to be such a deplorable human, Mr. Busby, but I promise you I have seen your kind many times over. I'm more than prepared to deal with your type." Jay-Z then talks about his family and the toll this will take on them. "My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will have to sit our children down, one of whom is at the age where her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims and explain the cruelty and greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence. Children should not have to endure such at their young age. It is unfair to have to try to understand inexplicable degrees of malice meant to destroy families and human spirit. My heart and support goes out to true victims in the world who have to watch how their life story is dressed in costume for profitability by this ambulance chaser in a cheap suit. You have made a terrible error in judgment, thinking that all celebrities are the same. I'm not from your world. I'm a young man who made it out of the project of Brooklyn. We don't play these types of games. We protect children. You seem to exploit people for personal gain. Only your network of conspiracy theorists, fake physics, will believe the idiotic claims you have levied against me that, if not for the seriousness surrounding harm to kids, would be laughable. I look forward to showing you just how different I am." And lawyer Tony Busby, who filed the suit in the first place, is firing back also on X. "Regarding the Jay-Z case and his efforts to silence my clients, Mr. Carter previously denied being the one who sued me and my firm. He filed his frivolous case under a pseudonym. What he fails to say in his recent statement is my firm sent his lawyer a demand letter on behalf of an alleged victim, and that victim never demanded a penny from him. Instead, she sought only a confidential mediation."
This public separation was essential for both of them. Diddy's wild life provided the cultural cover, the smokescreen of chaos, while Jay-Z's measured demeanor provided the necessary image of legitimacy for corporate America to invest billions. But look closer at their respective empires, and you see not competition but a chilling systemic overlap. Both men built fashion brands, Sean John and Rocawear. Both invested heavily in beverage companies, Diddy with Ciroc and Jay-Z with Ace of Spades and Dust. Both men men wrestled for dominance in media. Diddy with Revolt TV and Jay-Z with Tidal, they weren't just in the same industry, they were running parallel playbooks in the exact same power game, using the same high-powered lawyers, the same accountants, and the same political connections to ensure their ascent was untroubled by legal or ethical speed bumps. The hidden connection was not a friendship, it was a symbiotic relationship of structural codependence. They were two pillars holding up the same roof. If one fell, the integrity of the entire structure was at risk. The facade of separation began to crack under the weight of Diddy's spiraling legal troubles, the lawsuits alleging horrific and widespread abuse. As the federal spotlight intensified,
Since I sent the letter on her behalf, Mr. Carter has not only sued me, but he has tried to bully and harass me and this plaintiff. His conduct has had the opposite impact. She is emboldened. I'm very proud of her resolve. As far as the allegations in the complaint filed, we will let the filing speak for itself and will litigate the facts in court, not in the media. I want to bring in Nima Rahmani. He is an entertainment attorney, and he's been following the whole Sean Combs ordeal very closely. So, Nima, your thoughts on Jay-Z being revealed as Celebrity A in this lawsuit? I know you and I discussed this a few weeks back.
And Jeanette, I'm not surprised. You and I have speculated, as to who this might be. And I think it was really telling when Alex Spiro and Quinn Emanuel filed that extortion lawsuit against Tony Busby. It's pretty well known that Spiro represents Jay-Z and Rock Nation. So it was the most likely celebrity. And now it's been revealed that the allegations are indeed against Jay-Z.
I think it's interesting too because Alex Spiro came out swinging about a month or two ago when something came up about Jay-Z and Beyonce on a Piers Morgan show, and he came out, sent some type of letter to Piers Morgan saying, you need to retract this, get rid of whatever was said about my clients. And he did it lickety split. And then that was kind of a big red flag that Jay-Z was on the offense, or on the defense and on the offense, trying to play a little bit of both. So, but the thing is, Jay-Z is saying this isn't true. He's filed a motion to dismiss this suit. He is not taking this laying down. He is saying, this has emboldened him to not give in and pay one red cent. But this woman is claiming this was Jay-Z and Sean Combs who raped her as a 13-year-old girl. So how do we get to the truth of the matter here?
So what you would want if you are Busby and this now woman's lawyer is ideally you have some sort of corroborating evidence and a contemporaneous report. It can be challenging to bring these types of cases decades later. Now, it's really going to go in one of two ways. And we saw it with Diddy and Cassie Ventura. This is either the first of many lawsuits that are going to be filed against Jay-Z, or this is a one-off. We know that it can be Weinstein, it can be Cosby, it can be Epstein. Oftentimes, abusers abuse more than one victim. And I'm not saying any of this is true, but if it is, there may be more than one victim here. And if others do come forward, sometimes it's hard for jurors to believe one victim in a he said, she said type situation. But when victim after victim is telling the same story, of physical and sexual violence, that's very hard for jurors to overcome.
We still don't know who Celebrity B is. There's been a lot of speculation about that. We don't know who it is. We know it's a woman, and she so far has not been unmasked. Tony Busby has not revealed Celebrity B's identity. What can we take away from that?
So Celebrity B, there's a lot of speculation out there. I mean, obviously we know who Diddy was dating at the time, and I think that's who a lot of people think it was. But, obviously we weren't there, and it's just innuendo and rumors right now. But that individual, from a legal perspective, the allegation is that she was a witness. She was not a participant. Witnessing a sexual abuse is certainly terrible. But I don't know necessarily if there's any legal claim against her, although I'm sure Celebrity B does not want to be unmasked and wants nothing to do with this, just like most individuals right now. want to have nothing to do with the Diddy allegations. And if it's Diddy,
and the world watched Diddy's empire crumble, Jay-Z maintained his cool public distance. The narrative being pushed was that Jay-Z had expertly navigated the pitfalls Diddy had succumbed to, that he was the superior businessman, the smarter operator who had cleanly separated himself from the messy past. But then the unimaginable happened. The Jane Doe lawsuit was filed, and in a startling amendment the accuser named both Sean Combs and Sean Carter. It was a lightning strike that shattered the illusion of distance. The allegation was horrifying: a claim of sexual assault at a party following the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards, at a point in time when both men were cementing their positions as untouchable cultural icons. Suddenly the separate thrones were revealed to be seats at the same table. The great distance Jay-Z had carefully cultivated collapsed into a single, shared vulnerability. This is where the truly hidden connection comes into focus. It wasn't just that they were named in the same lawsuit, it was in how Jay-Z chose to fight it that the real alliance was revealed. Jay-Z did not just deny the claims he
Second half of this motion was kind of crazy. She really called him out. I thought it was really interesting to go through the motion and read it. And it sounds like it was a major tactic on his side to do these press conferences, as you said, file these motions. So if he doesn't stop doing that and just continues bombarding her with all of these motions, what sort of response could the judge have?
If I'm being honest, not much. I mean, the federal court system has a lot of power, and the judges there have a lot of power, and they demand a level of respect that that sometimes judges in state court don't demand. And I say respect, actually, it's more formality. They demand a formality in the process, and so they can do these things, and they can make your life very difficult. But they don't have a lot of leverage, especially over someone like Alex Spiro, who works at a private firm. The judges can't stop him from continuing to bring in a stream of business. And the reality is that even though this victim's name has been continued to be made anonymous for the public for now, that just cannot continue. Because what the judge is doing currently is balancing the public's need for information and the defense's need for information so they can prepare for trial, versus the effect that this will have on the alleged victim and her psyche. And obviously the world knows that as soon as her name is revealed, everyone is going to come down on her, from the media to his attorneys to the social media. You're going to get it from all sides. And so she's doing this victim, the alleged victim, a favor right now by keeping her anonymous, but it's just not practical. So if he keeps doing this, getting back to your question, if he keeps filing these motions, if he keeps making the process difficult, she could sanction him, but she would really have to prove that his motions were not just frivolous, but almost malicious. But ultimately, she's going to have to sign off on revealing the identity of this alleged victim. And there's nothing that's going to stop that from happening if this case continues to move forward.
Let's talk a bit more about Jane Doe and her identity yet to be revealed, because as of right now, we just have Jane Doe. But if we refer back to previous cases, there was another Jane Doe case. We just recently learned her name, Anna Kane. It came out, the judge ruled. So do you think in this case, the judge could maybe reference that other one and say, okay, time's running out, we got to know your name, it's just the way it's got to go?
Yeah, this is a major news story because it's related to Jay-Z, because it's related to Diddy, and even because the attorneys, Tony Busby and Alex Spiro, involved. Those are names that are big names right now. And so it gets attention, but this isn't an unusual thing. There are plenty of cases that all of us in the criminal justice world have had where we want to know a victim's name. We want to know more information on an undercover cop. We want to know an alleged victim of sexual assault, so we can get an investigator, so we can do our research, so we can do all these things. And even without the bright lights of Hollywood and the media and scrutiny of social media, judges still routinely rule in favor of protecting someone's identity in this situation. So I don't think this is sort of outside the box where no other judge or judicial review committee is going to look at Annalisa Torres' decision and say, wow, this is so unreasonable. This is going to get overturned immediately. This is outrageous. You're not hearing any of that. In fact, if you look at some of these articles, they'll even say, this is kind of a routine thing. But the reality is, like the case you just referenced, at some point, it is impossible to prepare. It is impossible to confront your accuser, which you have a constitutional right to do, unless you have their identity, unless you can do some real meaningful work. And getting the name of the accuser the day before trial or a week before trial, which some of us have had happen, is mostly a thing.
And his high-powered legal team led by attorney Alex Spiro launched an immediate aggressive scorched earth counteroffensive. They didn't just fight the claims, they fought the accuser, and they fought the accuser's lawyer Tony Busby. Jay-Z's team sought to unmask the anonymous accuser arguing against her Jane Doe status and went on the attack with motions for sanctions, accusing the legal action of being an extortion attempt. This was not merely the defense of one man's reputation, it was a strategic defense of the entire power class. Every blow Jay-Z landed against the Jane Doe suit, every motion that criticized the accuser's credibility or the lawyer's tactics, was a powerful structural defense that served Diddy's interests as well. Think about the message this sent to the dozens of other potential accusers and their legal representatives watching the Diddy saga unfold. Jay-Z was effectively saying, if you come for one of us, the collective weight of our influence and our legal arsenal will be used to not just defend but to destroy your case and your counsel. This was a silent, unsanctioned, and extremely effective legal alliance
Of the past now, because appeals courts have been pretty clear that that is a massive prejudice to be able to put on a reasonable and meaningful defense for your client.
And this is something that Judge Torres referenced specifically in her motion. She basically said, I will keep this quiet. Your name will be Jane Doe for now, but I reserve the right to change my mind. And according to what you're saying, it sounds like she might. What could a timetable look like for that, for us to know Jane Doe's true identity?
It's hard to say. I mean, part of what the judge was angry about was Alex Spiro's constant barrage of letters, which she found combative, full of inflammatory language. But the heart of those letters was essentially, let's move this along. Let's do this as fast as possible. So even if she's trying to stop him from doing that, I don't think there's going to be a shift in strategy on trying to move this case forward as fast as possible. They want this case resolved and done as fast as possible. Now, sometimes that's just puffery, but we'll see as this case goes on. If you see a continuance of Mr. Spiro's sort of pursuing getting this to trial quickly, then that's going to shorten up the timeline. A lot of times attorneys ask for more time to review discovery, to prepare, to find witnesses. But in this case, it sounds like they want to push this as fast as possible. So the closer we get to a hearing or a trial that has some sort of meaningful result attached to it, then the judge will be forced to turn over, well, not turn over, the judge will be forced to reverse her decision and make the name public.
Something we have to remember from this specific Jane Doe lawsuit is it gave us the bombshell revelation of Jay-Z's involvement. So when it was first filed, he was simply Celebrity A, and there's a Celebrity B, but we didn't know who he was. Now we know it's Jay-Z. It's been amended to actually have his name in there, Sean Carter. But there's still Celebrity B, a female celeb. We don't know who she is. Do you think her identity could be revealed?
You know, that's going to be probably up to Tony Busby, the attorney for the plaintiff. Clearly, they're trying to use these sort of Celebrity A pseudonyms as leverage. And you can see what happened when they put Sean Carter in there. I think it was first filed in October, and then they put him in only a few weeks ago on December 8th. And look what we're doing now. We're talking about it. It's in the news. It kind of had died down, the specific allegations. It was more just sort of an umbrella story about Diddy and what his parties meant and sort of what they mean right now in the legal world and in the world of media. But now that they've added Jay-Z's name specifically to it, it's obviously getting a whole new wave of attention and more focused attention on this victim. So I think it's going to be tied to the media cycle, if I had to guess, and how these rulings continue. And they have this celebrity name that is sort of waiting to take over the headlines when they choose to release it. So I think it will be added, but it's going to be a strategic time.
What about additional lawsuits? Because Tony Busby, the name you've been mentioning a lot, has said, he said there were thousands of allegations, but he says he's going to file more than 100 civil lawsuits. So we obviously know that P. Diddy is going to be involved in this, but could Jay-Z, could other celebrities that have yet to be named?
Yeah, of course. Just put a dartboard up, put any celebrity you want on there and just throw a dart. And any one of them could be involved. I mean, how many people have you heard named that were at these parties? Like, these were synonymous. When you said party, Hollywood party in the early 2000s, Diddy was synonymous with that. There's a sketch you can find online of the opening scene to the VMAs, right? The MTV Video Music Awards. The whole point of the sketch is that everyone was at a Diddy party. The whole thing is surrounded about glorifying Diddy's parties. And so everyone who was hot during that time period was at one of these parties. I mean, Jay-Z, LeBron James, Ashton Kutcher. I mean, the list is endless.
Jay-Z was using his immense reputation and financial power not just to protect himself but to protect the systemic silence that allowed both his and Diddy's rise to power. The true relationship between Diddy and Jay-Z was therefore a covenant of elite protection, a mutual understanding that the rules of the world they inhabited were different and that any threat to one was a threat to the other and that the structure must be maintained at all costs. The facade of separation began to crack under the weight of Diddy's spiraling legal troubles, the lawsuits alleging horrific and widespread abuse. As the federal spotlight intensified and the world watched Diddy's empire crumble, Jay-Z maintained his cool public distance. The narrative being pushed was that Jay-Z had expertly navigated the pitfalls Diddy had succumbed to, that he was the superior businessman, the smarter operator who had cleanly separated himself from the messy past. But then the unimaginable happened. The Jane Doe lawsuit was filed, and in a startling amendment the accuser named both Sean Combs and Sean Carter. It was a lightning strike that shattered the illusion of distance. The allegation was horrifying: a claim of drugging and sexual assault at a party following the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards, at a point in time when both men were cementing their positions as untouchable cultural icons. Suddenly the separate thrones were revealed to be seats at the same table. The great distance Jay-Z had carefully cultivated collapsed into a single, shared vulnerability. Jay-Z's swift and furious response, which included calling the allegations frivolous and fictitious, and his aggressive pursuit of the legal team, was the clearest signal yet that their connection was not personal but institutional. The two hip-hop kings, who started as peers and became rivals, ultimately found themselves bound together in the same sinking ship, the same dark web woven from unchecked power and alleged exploitation. The mystery of their separation was solved the moment a single brave voice pointed a finger at both of them, and the subsequent legal maneuvers revealed a shocking truth: their true relationship was a necessary complicity, a shared understanding of how the game was played and how the consequences were avoided. The web that caught Diddy was always connected to Jay-Z, and now with Diddy's empire in flames, the flames are licking at the edges of Jay-Z's pristine fortress, revealing the hidden connection that ties them together forever as two giants who rose and perhaps now will fall by the same rules of engagement with the darkness they created. The facade is gone, the secret is exposed. The kings are tied to the same fate by the thread of their shared history and their mutual reliance on a system that no longer works for them. This is the truth of their connection, the ultimate, unspoken, terrifying truth of the hip-hop mogul establishment.